I was in Silicon Valley. It was 1996, 1997, probably 1996. And a Chamber of Commerce called me on the phone that I had known previously from networking events. And they said, do you do accent reduction? And I said, of course I do accent reduction, because the answer in Silicon Valley is always yes, and then you worry about it later. I had seen the movie My Fair Lady, which is plain, what is it? The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. That's all I knew about accent reduction. But I decided I was going to learn. So the first client I had, I actually gave him poems to read by Shel Silverstein. And it wasn't bad in hindsight, now that I know a lot more, this is 1996, because he was able to read different things and had to enunciate, became much more conscious of the vocabulary than if he had used high-tech vocabulary. And then later on, I met someone when I was walking my dog on the street, and he said, you've got to come to the Silicon Valley Internet Center, which was above the Wells Fargo barn on the Stanford campus. And once a week, people met there, many, many foreigners, other people, and they gave their speeches. They did their 10-minute, high-tech introductory speech, and I met, there were 150 people there every week. And that's kind of how I got into the whole high-tech area and started learning what I could form into a business or whatnot. I think they mostly had the same problems, whether I had French or Chinese or Indians or Swiss. It was not knowing how to communicate. It wasn't being sure how to say things. So if I have Israelis, obviously they're going to be so direct that it's shocking for Americans. I think all of them needed to learn that indirect business language, at least in California, that people use this, did I hear you correctly when you said, and instead of saying, no, you're wrong, you've got to say, is there another way of seeing this? So teaching this indirect language was for many people an eye-opener, and it certainly helped them along the way. So I was working with Spanish startups recently, and for startups it's very, very hard, and for the Russians, to understand how to get to the point or to say anything in one sentence. What do you do? Well, my company solves this problem, or here's this problem, this is what my company does to solve it, here is the result. So problem, solution, result. And teaching that with Spaniards, Russians, French is something that takes them forever, but once they've got it, it's fabulous to see them really soar with it and understand how to go. For me, the most important thing is optimism. That's a wonderful American trait. The other one, of course, is perseverance. And the third one is self-esteem. You have to have good self-esteem and self-confidence. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will? I think it's the focus. I think it's doing too many things and not clearly identifying the first three major problems that they're solving. I think it's a lack of ability to network. When people are here, they're not quite sure how to network, what to do. And then, my God, you really have to ask. And people will help you because I think a lot of us believe in karma. First of all, we were helped. And then to help someone else and not wanting anything in return is such a Silicon Valley thing here. And it works. Oh my God, I know what it was. All right, so I went to Denver and I did presentation training, my first. I spent weeks putting together folders for them, and I mean, all laminated. It was just beautiful. I had all kinds of outlines. It was great. And when I thought that Denver was a blue state. Colorado was a blue state, not a red state. So when I showed people presentations, what I did is I took Colbert, where he's making fun of George Bush. And I said, this is a fabulous way of how you can speak, and look how he gets his point across, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed a cold atmosphere in the room afterwards, and further on, I had no idea what I did wrong. This was probably on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I was there till Friday. And they kind of participated, but no one talked to me after any segment. They didn't invite me out for dinner, nothing. And then finally on the last day, the woman, the HR woman who had hired me said, you talked about politics. I probably also said I couldn't stand George Bush. And they said, well, there were 4 people in the class of 10. They were military officers. They just weren't wearing their uniform. So I think that was the biggest mistake I've made. No, they did not invite me to come back. I previously worked with the German CEO, and I never mixed politics and training again. No, I just think that you have to go for it. If you do it, so many people overthink things. I first have to have my webpage, and it has to be all correct, and then I have to write the blog, and then I have to write the link to tweet account, and by that time, it's gone, someone else is doing it. I think especially in America or Silicon Valley, people give us this chance to mess up a little bit and fail, and keep on going and learning. That's why it's wonderful doing business here. I knew certain people, who shall remain nameless, who said to me that I would never become successful in business, that I was absolutely not made for business, that I was a great housewife and that's where I should stay. And for me, contrary to other people who might slink away, tail between their legs, for me that's a real, I'm going to show them. So I think that's what always gets me going and keeps me going. And I'm probably ambitious like everyone else is. Believe in yourself and in what you're doing. No one else will. But if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing and what product you're putting together, maybe you'll fail the first time, maybe you'll fail the second time, but if you really believe and you have a good product, obviously, and you're smart, you will succeed. Teaching at universities, at Stanford, at UCLA, at Berkeley. The Denver thing. Focus. Pull yourself together. Don't be all over the place. Do one thing at a time and, like this, not like this. You can't do it. You're not smart enough. You'll never be successful. Never believed it, but... either in Cannes, France, or downtown Paris, in the 5e arrondissement, there are these wonderful little restaurants that I would go to anytime. Read. I love reading. Oh, and my children were born. That's easy.